Pat Buchanan ran for president.
Yes.
Not as many times as Harold Strassen, but he ran
Stassen
3 times.
Right.
And in 2000 as well.
Yeah, and so my family members contributed to him all 3 times.
That's nice.
But anyway, so
you're in trouble then, Joe.
There was a rumor that Palin was a member of the Buchanan Brigade, and so Harold Wexler came. I mean, Robert Wexler. It's earlier. A friend of mine, personal friend of mine, no, a guy that I knew and worked with a lot in Congress, Robert Wexler. It's very early here.
Yeah.
Accused her of supporting a Nazi sympathizer, which, if you know Wexler, you know he's accused me of that. I mean, so I just sat there. He's a hothead, and he'll apologize. Then it came out that she didn't even support Pat, that in 2000 she supported somebody else. But then here's the troubling part. The Obama campaign put out a press release where they called Pat Buchanan a Nazi sympathizer. Now, if this is a politics of hope, and this is a politics of change, then I'd rather go back to the politics of old, because that's as sleazy
That's bad.
of an attack. That is as gutter of an attack as I've ever heard in my life. And we're going to dig into that, but go ahead, just read. Yeah, read a little bit of this.
All right, well, let me start with the Wexler statement, okay?
Yeah.
This is Bob Wexler. Quote, John McCain's decision to select the vice presidential running mate that endorsed Pat Buchanan for president in 2000 is a direct affront to all Jewish Americans. Pat Buchanan is a Nazi sympathizer with a uniquely atrocious record
I just can't believe this.
Even going as far as to denounce bringing former Nazi soldiers to justice and praising Adolf Hitler for his great courage. Now, this is where it gets worse. The Obama campaign, rather than denouncing that statement, came out
again. And by the way, Wexler is like a hot-headed version of Joe Biden. You just sort of the markets filter it in. But that was absolute. What's that? Is that not
outrageous?
You know what it is?
Outrageous.
Obviously, it's outrageous at one level. It's such an indictment of whatever education Congressman Wexler received to liken one of the worst elements in the history of civilization.
Somebody who killed 6 million people.
Yeah. You know, and to call our friend Pat Buchanan, not just because you're sitting here.
Right.
I mean, you're a lot of things.
Gustav aside.
But it is so outrageous, and it's so out of its element.
Yeah.
An attack against one is an attack against... Well, no, hold on a second, Pat, because it gets more outrageous. It's one thing if a congressman says this, but when the Obama campaign makes it official by putting a spokesperson out repeating this slander.
What'd they say, Willie?
Here's what they said. Quote, Palin was a supporter of Pat Buchanan, a right-winger, or as many Jews call him, a Nazi sympathizer. That's from an Obama spokesman, direct from the campaign.
What's the Obama spokesman's name? We want to call this jackass out, too.
Risky.
Hey, Mark, get a life. You know what? You're not running for county commissioner in Cook County anymore. You're running for president of the United States. Stop being a little kid. If you want to write for Daily Kos, go write for Daily Kos. If you want to put America in the gutter, then keep it up. You are a pathetic human being, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Willie.
Good morning.
Hey, how are you?
Well,
this is
look, it is. Look, you read my recent book. Who was it dedicated to? 4 members of the greatest generation, my mother's 4 younger brothers, all of whom fought in the war in Europe, one of whom came home from Anzio with a Silver Star, and to suggest that I sympathize with the evil regime about which I wrote in that book, which was responsible for so many crimes, not only against Jews, but against Slavs and everyone in Europe, is just outrageous. I mean, I can understand Wexler. He's got a problem down there. He doesn't live in the district, apparently, and he lives up in Maryland, and he's got a little bit of problem with me because we carried so many of his constituents back in 2000 against
he also supported. He was also one of the only people who supported Barack Obama in a very heavy Hillary Clinton-supported district.
Exactly. Well, let me say about Israel here. Look, my position on Israel is, frankly, awful. It's like Mika's father's. It's a lot closer to Barack Obama's than it is John McCain. I think Barack is right. We ought to talk to the Iranians. He's right to oppose the war. And, frankly, he's right to say the Palestinian people have gotten a terrible deal over there, and their suffering ought to be recognized. I mean, that's Obama's position. It's my position. I don't think it's a Nazi position.
I don't think so at all.
And let's talk about this. Mika, well, I'll talk about it briefly. Mika's father was slandered by the Clinton campaign during the primaries because what he did in 1978 with the Camp David Accords.
I mean,
now listen, I've always been a Zionist. When I was in Congress, I was about as pro-Israel as you could be. But you know what? If somebody came up to me and said, we have to have a more open-minded foreign policy, I'd sit down and say, okay, let's talk about it. But to just call somebody that you disagree with a Nazi sympathizer, it's just shocking.
What are they doing? They're tying me to Sarah Palin. They're saying this is evil. Frankly, it's done for the Jewish community down there in Palm Beach. But if they do that, you end the moratorium on Reverend Jeremiah Wright, because Barack Obama's pastor and spiritual advisor for 15 years did run an anti-Semitic church, does run an anti-white church, and has engaged in racist rants. And we are told that, look, this is off the table, those sort of things. And then to have them come after me
bring
for
it back
this.
on.
They come after me. Okay, you open up somebody's associations.
Yeah.
You open those up. You open up Bolier's.
It has really gotten ugly over the past couple of days. I was talking to Mike Barnacle before about what the media was digesting and what they wanted.
With fervor.
With fervor. Mika, you want to... could you believe the Daily Cause, which is a sleazy website. I can't tell you the lies they tried to spread about me when the Republicans wanted me to run for Senate. A sleazy website. They spread this lie about Sarah Palin's daughter. That's one thing. But then the media, everywhere we went, they were just devouring it, weren't they? They were so excited.
We went to a couple of parties involving members of the media, and they were rabid over the story. It was rumors about maybe whether it was Sarah Palin's baby or her daughter's baby. It turns out her daughter, her 17-year-old daughter, is
Fritz,
pregnant.
You called, and then Mike Barnacle, tell me your story.
Well, I received a call Sunday night from a young guy, helped him get a job in the newspaper industry for a legitimate newspaper. And he called me with this repulsive rumor, and that's what it was at that point, had not yet been fully knocked down, that Sarah Palin's daughter had the child, the Down syndrome infant, and not the governor of Alaska. And I said, where did you hear this? And,
ridiculous.
I heard it here, and I read it on Daily Kos. And I asked the guy, I said, where do you work? For the newspaper. He named the newspaper. I said, well, what are you supposed to do when you work for a newspaper? Read a website?
Yeah.
And then that's the news?